Welcome to BG Meraki. We all face challenges in life. We all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you are willing to stick with them for years. With the same habits, you will end up with the same results, but with better habits, anything is possible. Yes, I'm talking about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It is one of the most practical books that I have read so far, and astoundingly, this becomes my favorite as well, because the processes and techniques that have been discussed in this book enormously help me to command over my habits to the best possible extent. Anyways, in this video, I'm gonna be sharing the key takeaways and insights that I have gained from this book, so do watch the video till the end. We all have a certain number of good habits as well as bad habits. Having bad habits is pretty innate, but if you do not eliminate those bad habits, then their impact may be dangerous or uncontrollable over time. Therefore, we need to start from the very tiny changes in order to get remarkable results. Now the point is, why tiny changes make a big difference? Here, James Clear is talking about just 1% change. If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you will end up 37 times better by the time you are done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you will decline nearly down to 0. And it looks like this. It's true that most of us love the idea of self-improvement. We do make a few changes when we think and realize that the change is required. The problem is that the results that we expect never seem to come quickly, and that's why we slide back into the previous routine, and that's exactly the problem. Here, James Clear says, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The effects of small habits multiply as you repeat them. They seem to make little difference on any given day, and yet the impact they deliver over months or years can be enormous. That's why James says, time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Habits can compound for you or against you. There can be two types of compounding, positive compounding or negative compounding. One of my favorites, positive compounding, is relationship compound, which I apply most in my social life. Here, James Clear is talking about positive compounding as people reflect your behavior back to you. The more you help others, the more others want to help you. Being a little bit kind and nicer in each interaction can result in a network of broad and strong connection over time. Therefore, be kind, because kindness is free, alright? Now let's talk about the process of building habit. Now basically, we have to go through these stages to get the reward. Cue is a kind of indication that triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. Craving is the motivational force behind every habit. Response is the actual habit you perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. And finally, rewards are the end goal of every habit. All these 4 steps of habit building together form a neurological feedback loop that ultimately allows you to create automatic habits. This cycle is known as the habit loop, and it looks like this. Habit shapes identity, identity shapes habit. Behaviors are usually a reflection of identity. What you do is an indication of the type of person you believe that you are, either consciously or non-consciously. Becoming the best version of yourself requires to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. Changing identity is simply 2 steps process. Decide the type of person you want to be, prove it to yourself with small wins. Pretty basic, but you have to be consistent. Moving ahead towards the laws associated with the process of habit building, which James Clear calls the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So the first law of behavior change is make it obvious. One of our greatest challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we are actually doing. In many cases, we do not even know about our habits. In this regard, James Clear introduced the concept of habits scorecard. It is basically a list of the acts that we perform in a daily basis. For instance, waking up, turning off alarm, taking phone, taking bath, doing exercise, brushing the teeth. After having a full list of all those activities, look at each behavior, check whether it is a good habit or a bad habit or a neutral habit. If it is a good habit, write plus next to it. If it is a bad habit, write minus next to it. And if it is a neutral habit, write equal next to it. For instance, waking up is something neutral, that's why I write equal next to it. Turning off alarm is also neutral, that's why I write equal next to it. Now, checking phone is something unnecessary at the very moment when you wake up. We can check it up later, that's why I write minus next to it. Brushing teeth is something good habit, that's why I write plus next to it, and so on. Now here is a strategy called implementation intention. It is basically a plan about where and when to act. The simple way to apply this strategy to your habits is to fill out this sentence. I will behavior at time in location. For instance, I will meditate for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. on the terrace, and the pigeon is staring at me, thinking like, what the hell are you doing here? Quite funny. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, then a subscribe to the channel would be phenomenal. One of the most important aspects of habit building is designing the environment. Design your environment in a way that makes the cues of good habits more obvious and visible. For instance, if you want to drink more water, place the water bottles in common locations like on your desk and on your bed. Moving on to the second law of behavior change, that is, make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. Well, it's all about dopamine. Habits are associated with higher levels of dopamine. For those who do not know what dopamine is, it is basically a feel-good hormone. It gives us a sense of pleasure. It also gives us the motivation to do something when we are feeling pleasure. We need to make our habits attractive because it is the expectation of a rewarding experience that motivates us to act in the first place. And we all know that we are reward seekers. That's why a strategy called temptation bundling comes into play. This is simply to pair an action we want to do with an action we need to do. For instance, in my case, I used to listen to lo-fi music while I read books because this allows me to feel more positive and I can focus more. The third law of behavior change is make it easy. So if you want to master a habit, the key is to start with repetition, not perfection. Because the first takeaway of third law of behavior change is you just need to get your reps in. Each time you repeat an action, you are activating a particular neural circuit associated with that habit. And that activation leads to automaticity, the ability to perform a behavior without thinking about each step, which occurs when the non-conscious mind takes over. Reduce the friction associated with good behaviors. When friction is low, habits are easy. Create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. Also, prime your environment to make future actions easier. 2 minutes rule basically says, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. For instance, if you want to start writing journal, then write one sentence within 2 minutes at the very beginning. This is the smallest version of the behavior. Then master the 2 minutes rule and move on to the next level, that is, try to complete a paragraph. Eventually, you will see that journaling is your daily habit. Now let's move on to the last and cardinal rule of behavior change, and that is, make it satisfying. We are more likely to repeat a behavior when the experience is satisfying. The purpose of this fourth law of behavior change is what is rewarded is repeated, what is punished is avoided. Now this is very important to understand that no matter how consistent you are with your habits, life will interrupt you at some point and will break the continuity of your habits. So whenever this kind of circumstance happens, we just need to remind ourselves that never miss twice. Because the first mistake is never the one that ruins us, It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. Missing once is an accident, but missing twice is the start of a new bad habit. So never miss twice and get back on track immediately from the very next day. Now let's move on to the last point of discussion, that is how to break a bad habit. So according to James Clear, in order to break a bad habit, we have to enforce the laws that have been discussed earlier. Like, instead of making the cues obvious, make it invisible. Instead of making the habits attractive, make the bad habits unattractive. Highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. Increase friction. Increase the number of steps between you and your bad habits. For example, if you frequently use the mobile, then place the mobile in such a place that you cannot immediately reach. And lastly, make it unsatisfying. We are less likely to repeat a behavior when it is painful or unsatisfying. Ask someone to watch your behavior and to remind you about your bad habits. And that's how we can break the bad habits. As I said in the beginning, the quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. If you do not pay attention to your daily habits, then bad habits can cut you down just as easily as good habits can build you up. That's why reflect and review your daily habits either once in a month or in a week or sometimes daily. Still, many more to understand, read the full book for more insights. A beautiful masterpiece, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Well, at the end, I would say that this channel is not only limited to book reviews. There will be more contents regarding productivity, creativity, learning, passion, and about life as a whole. So stay tuned. Okay, that's it for now. I would like to thank you so much for watching the video. If you like it, then hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe to my channel. My name is Vishnu, this is BG Meraki, and I'll catch you in the next one.